We then cut back to Stan's wife, who is asking Stan how he's doing in the tub, and opens the door and gets a very interesting surprise. We then get a shot of Bill driving up to a cab in a cemetery to visit Georgie's body. And he sees Pennywise coming out of an open grave.
Yes.
And Pennywise tells Bill to take his pick.
Except for the one on the end. That's already taken. Sorry.
So we can only infer what that means, but Bill doesn't know yet. Richie is then driving down the streets in Derry, so Richie has made it into town, and he sees on the marquee of the Paramount, Richie Tozier, born 1950, died 1990.
Yes.
That's kind of creepy, right? You know,
super creepy.
Because he died like 33 years ago. It's just horrifying. It's a timely piece, you know what I mean? After 1990, this isn't as effective, but it's still pretty cool. Richie gets super scared and runs into the library. And he starts to hear Pennywise up on the balcony.
Oh, yes. My favorite scene.
This. It's a great scene when Pennywise says, like, oh, you know, have a balloon, and one balloon not enough, try a bunch.
One balloon not enough. Try a bunch!
During the midst of all this joking, a bunch of balloons are falling down from the ceiling and exploding in the people's faces. I can only imagine, like, you can see the actors kind of flinch when it hits, but like it's very subtle, you know? So they're not technically, they don't really realize what's happening. Because, of course, they're adults. They all forgot.
Like, kudos to those actors to actually sit there and let a balloon pop in your face. I don't know about you, but when there's a balloon in my face, I'm like,
That's right.
Go.
We then get Bill meeting up with Mike. And Mike shows Bill his old bike, which he called Silver.
God, his romantic interests.
His weird sexual infatuation with this bicycle. Yes. But Mike is all about it. He's like a feeder.
Yes, totally.
I like the little montage that Mike and Bill have here. That's the way you do the thing you do. Again, the impressions. It's an awesome little scene where they're like kids again and they felt like everything was all right, at least for that moment. Mike shows Bill a deck of bicycle cards. Bill takes the deck, goes to take them out, and they fall over the floor. Yes. And Bill and Mike inspect the bicycle cards only to see Pennywise on the back of the cards. I always felt this was a missed opportunity. Like, why did they just do a Joker's card with Pennywise's face on it?
Yeah, because there was a Joker card that was flipped over, and it was just a regular Joker.
It's a regular Joker, and then Pennywise on the back. But, you know, it is what it is.
But tell me you didn't want that deck of cards.
Oh, yeah, dude, I totally wanted that deck of cards. I'll guarantee you somewhere, I'm going to splice it in if it's there, I guarantee you somebody has made the Pennywise bicycle cards. We then get Ben coming into the town, and Ben stops by the Barrens. I always thought that Ben was a real dick here. And don't ask me, you know, I mean, like, it's a real small thing, but the way he he instructs the cab driver to wait for him is just like, wait for me. Yeah, you'll see. When he gets out of the car, he tells the cab driver, wait for me, and then just walks away. I'm like, you fucking prick. Away. You know what I mean? You're a fucking asshole.
Wait for me.
Or you could at least say,
that cab driver didn't care. The meter's running, baby.
Yeah, but no, fuck, you don't do certain. You know what I mean? Like service jobs. Ben, I hope he dies. Hopefully he dies. So as Ben is at the Barrens, he then hears that voice again of his father, and sees the skeleton, that zombie skeleton that came out of the lake. He sees him standing up, and the skeleton says, "We can't wait to get you down here with us."
Yes.
Scary, man. That's scary. I don't like that at all.
We can't wait to get you down here with us.
Ben has another scare as a homeless person then asks him for change. I love how cracked out the homeless guy is.
I wasn't going to hurt you. I don't even know you.
I don't even know you. Ben runs back into the cab, and as the cab is driving past the town, Ben sees Pennywise on the side of the road with a pile of balloons kind of looking and laughing at him, which I always thought was
laughing
really
at
creepy.
him, yes.
When Ben stops looking in the window, inside the cab is a yellow balloon with the words, "Turn back now."
Yes, because that's what Pennywise has been doing up to this point. Everyone that's been coming in, he's been warning them like, hey, get out, otherwise it's going to be too late. And now, is it because Pennywise is scared of him? Or is it because he's not strong enough to fight them yet?
Your doctor is weak and your mother is determined that you're ill. And you, my friend, are caught in the middle.
Eddie then enters the town and has a flashback of when the pharmacist, Mr. Keene, tried to tell Eddie that his overprotective mother is lying to him about his asthma. You bet. Lying to him about his asthma. The doctors have given Eddie a placebo to make Eddie believe he's actually having asthma medication.
Can you imagine? That's so fucked up.
It's crazy. And the pharmacist hit the nail on the head. He said that, the doctor's giving you this placebo, your mother's convinced you're sick, and you're stuck in the middle. It's true. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what are you going to do in a situation like that?
Yes.
Young Eddie in the flashback gets really offended and runs away. But as he's running away, you then get a shot up of the grown-up Eddie having coming back to the realization now he's inside that pharmacy. Eddie actually sees Mr. Keene in the back area of the store. And he obviously has he has dementia or he has Alzheimer's or something. He's kind of out of it. He's kind of mumbling to himself. And Eddie is trying to thank him for all of the advice he gave him years ago. And Mr. Keene, in his ramblings, starts to say water. Yes, it's all in your head, Sonny, or something.
H2O.
It's all in your head, Sonny.
On your side, Sonny.
Eddie is super excited that Mr. Keene remembers him. Eddie stands up, and Mr. Keene's hand turns into this dead-ass zombie hand, grabs him.
Mr. Keene?
Get out of Derry while you still can.
We then get Bev into town, and Bev wants to enter her old house, her old residence for some reason. She wants to visit her father.
Why would you go back there?
Going back to your abusers. This is, and I don't know if they did this on purpose, but it's she still has a love for her father,
Right.
There's still that love there. So she goes to visit her dad, and it says Marsh on the doorbell. So she rings the doorbell, but some old lady answers and said that her dad has been dead for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then she looks back on the doorbell again, and it actually says Kirsch instead of Marsh.
Yes.
And it's great, too, because when you see this, this is before, but before the movie came out on, DVD or whatever, or VHS at the time. You only saw it that one time, and then it took, 6 months to see it again. Wait, did I?
Oh, I thought it said Marsh.
Right, I thought it said Marsh, too. You know what I mean? You kind of questioned your own sanity there, which is really cool the way they did that. Mrs. Kirsch is a very sweet old lady, and she invites her in for tea. Mrs. Kirsch pours some tea for Beverly and then takes a sip, and then she starts to really guzzle this tea down. This gurgling.
Yeah,
it was gross. It
very
sounded really
creepily.
Gross. And then she tells Beverly to drink it while it's nice and hot while she smiles, and her teeth have gone completely black and rotten. Just disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, go on, dear. Drink it while it's nice and hot.
Beverly starts to become a little bit concerned. She looks down at her teeth, and her teacup is full of blood. She drops the teacup breaks. Mrs. Kirsch smiles at her and says, "I'll get it," and then bends down to pick it up. Beverly then realizes that it actually did say Marsh on the door, and Mrs. Kirsch says,
If you're wise, you'll run, dear, run, because to stay will mean worse than your death. They float
down there. They float.
She lifts up her head, and she is now the dead-ass zombie of her father.
Yes! I worry about you, Bevy. Oh, dude, that just scared the shit out of me.
Terrifying. Oh, that's so fucking scary, dude. And that was probably that was probably one of the scariest parts in the movie for me, too, was just that one scene, because you did not expect that. Her father chases her to the door. Beverly is able to escape. She turns back, and her dad has become Pennywise.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, and I love how there's a great part in there, and this is all Tim Curry, and you can almost tell it's probably improv. He laughs a little bit and then stays very, very silent before he closes the door and gives like a final laugh. It was just like, It's like, this is really funny, haha, and then this burst of laughter as he shuts the door. We then cut to a Chinese restaurant, and the group has finally found each other, and everybody's meeting, and everybody's talking about old times, and everybody's happy to see each other. Bill locks eyes with Beverly, and they have a very long, passionate kiss.
Right?
I don't know why this is written the way it is, or I understand like there was history there, but literally Bill just told his wife yesterday that he loves her and he'll be right back.
Yeah, and then literally goes and he like has this passionate kiss with Bev, and then I think she hugs Ben, and then she gives the longest, most passionate kiss to Bill.
Oh, she hugs Ben. She gives Ben a high five.
And then she starts licking his mole, and that was the scene.
We then cut to a mental hospital where Henry Bowers is being kept. Apparently, Henry Bowers confessed to all the murders in his madness all those years ago, and they locked him up. He went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. He is in there, and he is his hair is still all white, and he looks like 90 years old. He has aged terribly, obviously.
He looked like William Shatner, didn't he?
He did look like William Shatner.
Like old Henry Bowers looked like William Shatner, and I'm like, is that Shatner?
I will kill you all.
I will kill them. Yes, I will kill them all.
Henry Bowers sees Pennywise in the moon, and Pennywise is basically telling Henry Bowers that he wants him to go back and kill this group of kids. We cut back to the Chinese restaurant after eating dinner, and they all open their fortune cookies. And every single one of the group have a very special surprise inside their fortune cookies.
Yes. And then did you notice the little Asian lady that comes in and goes, "Everything okay?"
Yeah.
Who is that? That's the old lady. That's the old lady that comes up to Happy Gilmore's apartment when he's singing, "I wanna kiss you all over."
Is that the same
look
lady?
at it again. I swear to God, it's her.
All right, wait.
I swear to God, it's her.
Did you fact check it before you said that?
I did not fact check it,
all right,
but I looked at her and I'm like, that is her. And if it's not, then I am a racist because I literally just said that every Chinese old woman looks alike.
All right, look, we're going to put it up right now. Is Thrash right about the Asian lady being the same lady from Happy Gilmore? Survey says. We then cut to the library, and Mike is calling Stan, trying to get a hold of him because everybody in the group is there but Stan.
Yes.
Mike unfortunately gets the bad news that Stan is actually dead. Bill realizes that was the grave that was already taken when Pennywise told him to take anyone but that one. Bill then recalls a time where Stan was collecting birds, he called it. He was watching birds like a good little Boy Scout. He heard his name being called inside of some big house. So he went inside the house, the door locks behind him, and downstairs comes this mummy with little fuzzy balls on it. Stan runs out of the house, hops on Bill's bike, and Bill says,
"Hi-ho, Silver, away!" God, him and that bike is so gross.
It's a weird dichotomy relationship. I don't understand why he's so about that bike, but apparently, it's whatever.
He loves that bike, bro.
Yeah, loves that bike.
He loves it.
No seat and all. Eddie then recalls a time that Stan actually saw into the deadlights.
I hadn't thought of it until just now, I swear. He said, I looked into its deadlights, and I wanted to be there.
Deadlights.
Mike opens the refrigerator to get a drink, and then all of a sudden he sees the head of Stan chilling on the top shelf.
Yes. After balloons come floating out.
I love it. It was great. This is a cool scene. It was just like, it's so, the special effects it is what it is, but I love how comedic that Stan was, this disembodied head kind of just roasting everybody.
Billy boy. Richie, you still here? We never expected you to stick around. Nice nose job. No one would ever suspect.
As Mike closes the refrigerator, the lights go out, the windows break, and there is this storm that is now inside the library. The typewriter starts writing by itself. The group decides to all bond together, and everything starts to cease. Right, so the lights then come back on.
Did you look at Bill as they're holding hands? Dude, Bill looked like he was having a tantric orgasm, bro.
I don't like.
He was like, oh! You gotta splice that in, bro, because it was like, okay, actor playing Bill, like we get it. You're trying hard. You're next to like John Ritter. You're next to the guy from Night Court. Okay, we get it. You're trying hard, but fuck, bro.
When all the lights come back on and everything kind of disintegrates, they take that paper out that was being typed on. And the paper reads,
he thrusts his fist against the post and still insists he sees the ghosts. That's all it says over and over and over again.
And the way he's saying, like the way he realizes this, again, this is the overacting by this actor. My mom, my mom,
God, shut up, you mumbling bozo.
He doesn't sound like a stutter. He sounds like a deaf mute. My daughter. You know what I mean? Like, I just, it really took away from that scene.
Went out right by my head.
That's right. We then cut back to the mental hospital, and Bowers sees his dead friend Belch slide underneath the bed. Belch explains that there's only so much that Pennywise can do because some believe and some don't believe and whatnot. Yes. But Henry is alive, which means he can kill them regardless if they believe or not. Yes. Belch hands Henry a knife and says, lead the way. Henry then walks up to the orderly with Belch in tow. And as the orderly gets pissed off, he calls him dog meat. And just then you see behind Henry sidestepping the feet of Pennywise. But the face of Pennywise is now a gigantic Rottweiler.
Yes, and dude, that shit scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
It was freaky, right? And we don't get a reason for this other than the fact that the orderly was most likely terrified of dogs.
Yeah, because he called them dog meat. So that's probably what his fear was dogs. Yeah.
We then cut to Bill's wife, Audra, who has flown into America to go after her husband. She's stopping at a gas station asking for directions. The gas station attendant gives her directions to the Barrens. Yes. And you start to hear the voice of Pennywise start to come through him and offers her a balloon.
Don't you want your balloon first, Miss Denborough? Don't you want it? Don't you want it? Don't you want it? Don't you want it?
There's two like real sexual lines in this film, and this is one of them. It's just the way it kind of slowly pans into his eyes as he's going, don't you want it?
Yeah! Oh, yeah. Don't you want it? Don't you want it?
Don't you want it?
And then she's just looking at him like...
kind of.
And he's like, don't you want it? As he's shoving her balloon animal in her face. Don't you want it? Don't you want it?
Don't you want it? Mike goes into his room and he is stabbed by Henry Bowers. So Bowers is already starting to execute Pennywise's plan.
He calls him that word again.
He does. He calls him the word again.
I hate it.
I know. I don't like it either. But it was powerful for the film. You know, it was. It really made him look like a fucking asshole. As this is happening, Ben is in Bev's room to get her some shoal because she's tired or she's cold. As Ben is grabbing the shoal, Bev comes into the room and she says, "I've been waiting to tell you this." And she recites the poem that Ben had given her.
Yeah, the
Ben
dumbass
is
poem.
the dumbass fucking poem. Like, you're going to remember that all these years later. Like, I'd have thrown it in the trash the day it
Your
happened.
hair is rid to fire.
Ben is excited that Bev realizes that he wrote the poem, so they start to make out. Again, this really fucking weird, awkward kiss from John Ritter.
Yes!
Like, it's fucking weird. I don't understand why he kisses like that. Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking creepy in a way.
It's like, bro, like, can't you, like, do it just a little bit sexy? Like,
yeah, just try it.
Like,
you know?
like, bro, you lived with 2 hot chicks, and like, you came and knocked on their door, and now we're watching you kiss this chick, and it's like, I don't want to see you knock on anyone's door, bro.
This is why Bev wanted to bang Bill.
Right?
After they kiss, they embrace, and Ben is looking at the mirror, and in the reflection, he can see that Bev looks very fluffy.
Yes.
And she's wearing these white gloves. So he looks down, and at her feet, and in fact, her whole lower half is all just the clown suit.
Kiss me, fat boy.
Eddie then comes into Mike's room, sees what's happening, pulls Henry Bowers off of Mike, and Henry Bowers stabs himself with the knife.
Yeah.
Mike looks
and
it
was him and Ben. It was him and Ben, not just Eddie, because Eddie couldn't do that shit by himself. Hey, stop it, you big brute!
Henry Bowers is now dead. Mike is stabbed and very fatally wounded, so they all duck out of the hotel to bring Mike over to the hospital.
And they leave the dead body there, right?
They leave Henry Bowers' body there.
And they turn off the TV.
Mike looks like he's very fatally injured. They all take him to the hospital. At the hospital, Bev is very concerned about everything that is happening. She starts crying, talking to Ben about how she picked a guy who resembled her father.
Why would I do that? How could I be so blind?
If you see it now, you're not blind anymore, Bev.
Like, bitch, yeah, you are. Like, if, poot or no, I'd have been like, yeah, you're kind of stupid. You shouldn't have done that. But it is what it is. It's a cycle of abuse, you know what I mean? Like, who am I to talk? But Bev is fucking stupid. Let's just call it a spade.
You should have done that.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, you thought it was over.
Now you got the fat boy, bitch!
And when I'm done, all over the floor will be January embers. Ben and Bev actually end up kissing as Bev realizes that he was actually the one that wrote the poem. This is 2 times in 5 minutes. So Ben, finally feels confident that Bev is all about him now.
Yes.
At this time, Bill is visiting Mike in his room. And Mike tells Bill to look in his closet. Inside the closet, inside of his coat pocket, are the 2 sterling earrings that they shot what the kids shot 30 years ago.
Yes.
The only possible way that Mike has these is he must have gone back into the sewer at some point and collected them. Mike reveals that at some point he was suicidal because he's the only one who has stayed in the town. Everybody else is wildly successful, and he was basically left to die in the town. So he decided,
because he's a librarian.
Because he's a librarian. Yes, that's exactly why. Mike reveals that he went back 10 years ago to grab the earrings. And this gives Bill enough courage to come out and tell the group that he is going back inside the sewer right now, and this time he's going to kill the clown.
I'm going back in. This time I'm going to kill it.
Help me. Help me. Please help me.
The group now head to the sewer. And I love when they're preparing all their stuff, like Bev brings out the slingshot, and Richie's like, I don't suppose anybody brought anything useful, like a machine gun.
Right? Or a bazooka.
And you can say what you want about Richie, but he's like he's the most logical person in the group. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And at the end, like, they're telling him, like, oh, you don't have to go in if you don't want to. And then he says, like, oh, yeah, sure, now I don't have to go in. And then right afterwards, he's just like,
I still say we should have brought a machine gun.
We then cut to the sewer. This is the final battle of it.
Yes.
They find a purse as soon as they enter, and Bill realizes this is the purse that Audra owns. And now Bill knows that Audra is somewhere within this sewer, so he runs after her. The group all meet up with Bill, trying to console him, and they all walk to the center point of the sewer, and they see Georgie's boat that is floating down the stream.
My boat.
Georgie.
It's all your fault.
Georgie.
I always thought that like little kids that die, like in movies, and then come back and say, "This is all your fault. You let me die." And it's fucking horrifying. It was horrifying in this, and it was horrifying with Zelda in Pet Sematary when she's like, Gage and I will get you for letting us die. It's fucking scary when people do that. You know what I mean? This real guilt thing, and it just ends up like way more scary than just somebody dying. It's like literally like, this is your fault. You know, horrifying. Bill says that you are not my brother, and George is dead, and it's not my fault. And then Georgie disappears.
Yes.
Bill says, again, where are you now, you bastard? And Pennywise appears in the brush. And he says the group will never be able to see him. They'll only see what their little minds will allow them to see.
Yes. Great speech, by the way.
For if you stay, you'll lose your little mind in my dead lives. Like all the others. Like all the others.
Undeterred, Bill puts the boat down to the stream, and the boat actually guides them to where Pennywise is. This is a really cool, powerful scene, because obviously it's the power of the group that is helping guide this boat, but
it's Georgie helping them. Yeah,
it could be very well Georgie helping them along the way, which is really neat. The boat leads them down to this very little doorway. It reminds me of like Labyrinth or something. This little wooden tiny door.
Yeah, like a Hobbit door, kind of.
Like a Hobbit door, yeah. And obviously on the other side of the door, that's where Pennywise is hiding. Eddie feels this is a good time to tell everybody that he's never been laid.
I mean, I've never even been with any.
Eddie, what are you saying? You're a virgin?
Yeah.
Well, I can't help you with that, pal, but thanks for sharing.
Richie, let him talk.
I still don't get it. Like, I can try to like figure out a reason why like this would be like, sure, this is a reason why. There's no logical reason why Eddie should have had this speech. There's no reason why they should have included it in the film. It was just fucking preposterous. You know what I mean? Like,
but then he goes, I could never sleep with anyone that I didn't love. And I never loved anody except for all of you guys. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. And
like,
Bev was right next to him. You know what I mean? And he didn't look at Bev. So
no, he was looking at the bros.
He was looking at the dudes. So Eddie was jealous.
He was looking at Ben.
Yeah, he was looking at Ben.
He's like,
looking at Ben.
I see how you kiss Bev. You kiss me like that, you fat boy.
He was jealous that Bev got spit roasted and he didn't. So the group then go through the door, and it's this cave that is just completely covered in spider webs. And on the rooftops and all these little caverns inside of the tops of the cave are all of these people just covered in spider webs, all with this really dazed and euphoric look in their eyes. So these are people that have obviously been victim of the deadlights. Bill actually spots Audra as one of these victims and goes up to get her down, but then they hear something off in the distance.
It was like a giant spider. It almost looked like Shelob from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I was gonna say like something like Middle Earthy or something,
Yeah, it was creepy.
It was pretty creepy. It was fucking scary looking, and it was again, the special effects weren't great, but it's still great for what it was. Bev tries to shoot an earring at the spider, but ends up missing. Bev shoots another one, and it actually hits the spider. So now the spider is floating on top. He kind of emerges, flies above,
like reels back.
Yeah. And then you see the underbelly of the spider, and you see the deadlights. This is very unfortunate for Ben and Richie because they end up looking into the deadlights, and they are completely gone. They are just looking, and they're absolutely dazed. Bev then runs away, leaving Eddie by himself, and Eddie is like, "What the hell am I going to do now?" like I'm all by myself. So now you have a couple of his bros over there lost in the deadlights. Bev is nowhere to be found, and now Eddie's just by himself. So Eddie goes back to what he knows and breaks out the inhaler.
This is battery acid. Now you disappear.
But as the spider is busy with Eddie, Bev hits another shot with the slingshot with the earring that missed. She finds that, hits the spider again right into the deadlights.
Yes.
The deadlights then drop Eddie, and the spider retreats back into the cave. The group checks on Eddie, and Eddie is obviously dying. Richie calls him, "You're going to be okay, Spaghetti Man." And Eddie says, "Don't call me that."
Richie, please. For the last time, don't call me that. You know how I...
Just put it in my mouth one last time, Richie.
So with Eddie dead and the group not wanting to risk this again, they chase down the spider. And I love how they just go up to the spider like cow tipping and just push him over.
And then Mortal Kombat his ass. Like, seriously, all they needed right at that part was finish him. And then they just beat the shit out of the spider.
Beat the fuck out of the deadlights and shit. And then Bill is just so, he is the Kano of the group. He grabs the spider's heart and raises it above. Yeah, it's just like, It's
like, bro, you're trying too hard again, Bill.
Yeah, dude, he's terrible. He shouldn't have been in this movie. He really, he kind of fucked up this movie. So whatever actor you are, I don't want you on the show.
And your fucking ponytail.
Yeah, your fucking ponytail.
He's probably uber famous, like writes all these great scripts for Marvel or some shit.
Money and bitches for days. And here we are.
Fuck you and your ponytail and your fucking mole.
The monster has finally been killed and all of the bodies start to descend from the tops of the ceiling.
They were floating.
Oh, they were floating. Yeah.
Dude, they were floating because remember he says when you're down here, you'll float too. Because he put your ass in a cocoon and he put you up there and then he eats you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, it's neat. We then cut to the group outside the sewer. Richie is holding a dead Eddie on his shoulders. Bill is holding Audra. But at least they finally killed the monster. Cut to a couple weeks later as Mike is narrating what is going on now with the group. Richie is acting in a movie. Ben and Bev are married and having, they have kids on the way, for that stupid poem. And Bill and Audra stayed for a while, hoping... January numbers. Bill and Audra stay behind as Bill is trying to nurse Audra to help, but no luck. So as they go to leave Derry and get into a taxi cab, Bill notices his bike that he loves so much, decides to have a threesome with Audra, puts Audra on top of the bike, and rides her along town, hoping to kind of spark her memory back. This is the second.
Beat it.
This is the second sexual thing that happens in this film. This beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it,
beat it, Audra, beat it, beat it,
beat it, beat it, Audra, beat it, beat it, beat it.
Audra then regains consciousness, grabs Bill's shoulder. Bill is emphatic. He's so happy that he's able to stop in the middle of traffic as they make out. We zoom out.
At him.
Yeah, everybody pissed off. We zoom out to see Bill and Audra kissing in the middle of traffic. The screen fades to black. We get that laugh from Pennywise, and the music hits, and that is Stephen King's It.
Yes, creepy, creepy, creepy movie, but God,
love it.
Damn it! When you watch it now, you're like, this shit ain't fucking scary.
It's not. It definitely didn't age well. I'll say that. Comparatively, especially with the new movie.
Yeah.
I think the new movie was like, as far as, and I'm a big retro guy. I love like all the movies we grew up with. I don't think you can really do as good as you did with that, the remake of this movie. The
remake was just terrific. I mean, like obviously, Bill, what's his name? Bill Skarsgård. He was fantastic as Pennywise, but nothing beats Tim Curry. Like, I agree. The reason why you watch this movie is because of Tim Curry.
He was definitely the better It. I think that Tim Curry was the better It, but the 2020 version was definitely the better movie. So
it was so good.
but it was still really good. So thank you all for watching this two-part. This is the first two-parter we did, and I would guess this would be a reason to celebrate, right? We just climbed over 100 subs. So
yes,
thank you all very much for that. I appreciate it. You guys just amazing. And we hope to continue to grow, and we'll do these things more and more often and all that sort of fun stuff. But yeah, Thrash, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And check us out next week. We'll bring you more video game. We had to preempt that this time because we had to do part 2, man. We had to do part 2. So, but thank you all for watching. I appreciate that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time for the Retro Rental Review.